back with another session of 7 tabling 25 and 50 PLO bet online. This is a continuation of two other videos. This is the third one in the series. So if you haven't seen the other two, there's been some pretty awesome hands towards the end of the videos. So go check them out. And yeah, let's jump right into the action. So fours on the bottom right, they're pretty bad. So I just folded. On the button, I think we can open. In the cutoff, excuse me, in UTG, we're going to fold that 10 high hand. If it was double suited, maybe we can play it. Kings, we're going to open. Queens, does it go either way? Depends on the players. If it was suited, if it was single suited, we could play, yeah. I feel like there's a big strength gap between kings and queens. Where kings, we can open even if it's a bad pair of kings, kind of like these kings on the center right, bottom center right. But queens, it's a lot harder to play. So I think a c bet's here. A c bet, yeah, I would rather see a c bet because there's it's kind of wet, but we're not likely to get raised. I don't think. Um, with kings on the bottom right, I think I'm going for a check call here. I think that's good. We can, yeah, for balancing, I think it's good. In a vacuum, just looking at the specific hand, I think betting for value and protection is okay too. But looking at our entire range, having the two pair here is pretty good. We could potentially even check raise. Yeah, let's see. I can't remember what I did here. Yeah, that's one problem with checking back. Villain can check back too. So it looks like I'm going for like a little blocker bet, small value, which I like. So we might have missed some value by not betting on the turn, but I think we have to check back some decent hands like two pair to protect our range. So and with the kings in the bottom middle right there, we got raised, so we're just gonna fold. Queens, like I was saying, are weaker. I think those queens we could have opened because we had a single suit, Queen Jack X, Queen Queen Jack X, but folding is okay too, I guess. Interesting. I think that could go either way with the jacks and the ace high suit. Just having the ace high suit is really nice here. Um, it's a lot more versatile post flop. So yeah, I lean towards the open, but in a tougher game, I think folding is okay too. Yeah, with the ace king, yeah, river we're gonna check because um, a lot of draws got there. Basically, we get bet into. I think either fold or call is okay. The thing is, I think a fold is better because the flop went check check, and we potted the turn. So if he had a two pair like ace deuce or ace six, I think he would have bet the flop. It's just much more likely that villain has a draw, and the king of hearts straight and flush gets there. So yeah, I think a fold is fine. And if he had like ace 10 or something, like some with showdown value, he would check back. Yeah, it doesn't make sense for even trips doesn't make sense to bet there. So yeah, I think a fold is good. We want to open this on the button. It's a good hand for the button. Jack 5 9 10. This I think we can three bet. Yeah, I think that's what I was trying to say. These players are bad. So um, if you have bad players behind you, yeah, like I did, I think against better players you want to three bet, but if you have players that can give you post flop value when they make hands, but you have a better hand, um, a call is sometimes superior to three betting. The reason for three betting something like a double suited you know um, connected hand like this is, well, we want to kick out flush draws that are higher than ours, right? So if we can have a heads up or a three-way pot, uh, it gives our flush draws a lot more value. Or yeah, on this flop, I think we can go either way because we don't have too much value here. Like we have a gutter and a backdoor flush draw, and then a backdoor straight draw like we just made. So we have a wrap. We're going to continue on the turn here, but on the flop with the position we could potentially bet smaller, like smaller than half pot, just to kind of set the tone. Um, but checking is okay too, I think, because we don't have too much value equity. And against this villain, which is pretty decent, he's capable of checking back good hands for balance. So yeah, interesting river. I think when check do we have to bluff. We'll see what happens. Yeah, we absolutely have to bluff. I would. Yeah, we can't go too big because if we bet bigger, we're saying we have a boat or nothing. But if we had a set before this, we would have raised, right? So yeah, I think that's why I went half pot to represent like maybe a ace high flush or king high flush or something, and that way we get a cheaper bluff too. And yeah, villain did have a good hand that he was checking on the flop, like I was saying. Yeah, he's definitely continuing um, with the king king with the flush draw. Yeah, so I think we played it fine. Double suited, top left, good cutoff hand. Two pair, like a standard C bet. If it was a rainbow, we could. I think a C bet's still good, but we can check back sometimes. But getting value is better, I think. Straight comes, but I think it's better to bet. Sometimes we can check, but a bet is going to be better. On this occasion, we check. Interesting. So like king queen gets there. Um, I would like a check call here because some flush draws might want to bluff. Looks like I'm going for a small blocker bet, which is okay. That would be like my second option. But I think villain just is gonna have king queen a lot of the time, so yeah, I think a check call is better. With queens in the middle, we're definitely gonna raise it up. Kings here on this low board against this aggressive player. It's unfortunate, but we do have to just check and fold. Queens, yeah, gonna check back. most aces are going to call, or anyone with a pair of aces is going to call the flop. That makes it difficult for us to barrel. So yeah, it's better to see where we're at. And since both checked here and it's kind of draw heavy, um, I like this because if either villain has either of the villains have an ace or single pair of aces or ace, it's going to be hard to call. So what it does is it kicks out better hands than ours, and then it allows draws to continue. We block straights, which is good. We don't block any clubs, but that just makes it more likely that people have flush draws, and if when the flush doesn't come, we'll have showdown value. Hopefully, that's a really good card for us. So like if no one has an ace here, which I think is the case, we're gonna just check it and yeah, take it down. So that worked out neat. And yeah, so we have a nut flush draw here, and then we have there's a two pair, Jack 5. So we got lucky. Um, if I had the Jack 5, I think a value bet is in place, or like unless I guess it's good for like balancing sometimes, but like if it was heads up, that makes more sense because the Jack high flush draw is stronger. But like in this situation, there's a King high flush draw, and you wanna not let other flushes to draw for free. Now, if the Jack 5 had the nut flush draw, it makes more sense to check. That said, um, there is there's a lot of straight draws out there, so yeah, if I had the Jack 5, I'm betting. Yeah, then he would actually won too because I would have had to fold the queens. Jack Jack 10 9, we get a 3 bet. Interesting. I think it's good enough to see a flop. It's a little bit steep. Let's see the stack to pot ratio, how deep we are. Yeah, there was enough. Um, there's like 40 behind, so that's 80 big blinds. 80 big blinds, and yeah, I think it's either way there. I wouldn't fault anyone or myself to fold, but I think Jack Jack 10 9 we would even with a single suit we hit a lot of flops. So yeah, in the long run it's gonna pay out, I think. But if someone wants to say that's a horrible play, yeah, they could convince me of that too. Um, we could open that in the cutoff. The 9 7 5 deuce double suited. It's not too bad against aggressive players. It could be bad, but even if we get 3 bet with it, yeah, it's double suited, so it could play. So I think it's okay. Interesting with the nines. What am I doing here? Let's back it up. In the bottom left. Okay, so I have the king blocker. So yeah, I like that. Bluff the turn, and then we'd bluff the river too. Pot is good. It looks like we take it down. So yeah, aces here. So I'm seeing if I want to 3 bet or not. And since we get another caller, we definitely want to 3 bet with aces. Interesting. So I checked. I think I play monotone boards pretty bad. I think that's a part of my game that needs improvement. So I check, and what I end up usually doing is like I'll try to check balanced, and then depending on what the other player does, I would do something different on the river. On the river we get trips, but if villain is calling, it's interesting. Like he could have a lot of bluffs here, but we have a lot of flushes that we're just gonna check call there. So I think that's fine. And with the top right, with the kings, I think on the flop we could have bet, but we don't have any. Yeah, if we look here, yeah, we could have bet, but if we got called, it makes it very difficult to play. Yeah, either way is fine, I guess. And in a lot of these spots, we want to mix up our plays, right? We don't want to play a certain way 100% of the time. We would split it up between, betting 70% of the time and, checking 30% of the time or something like that. And that allows us to have a wide range of hands in different scenarios. So that's so you might see me play the same hand, the same spot, in two different ways, and you know that would be the logic behind it. Uh, let's look at this 3-5-6-4 in the bottom left. I got 3-bet pre-flop, right? Um, I like playing these hands. They definitely are not as good as like the lower um, connected hands are not as good as like the mid or the high, and like a 7, 8, 9, 10 or something that would have smashed this board. The reason is because, well, like in this scenario, if we were up against a hand with the 10-8, um, they're just going to have a better um, potential for a draw. It's harder to make the nuts, right? We'll have the second nuts a lot, and that can be troublesome in PLO. So yeah, even though this flop looks pretty good for our hand in a three-way when it's bet, uh, it's just tough. We just kind of have to fold because our flush draw is weak or our straight draw is weak. There's a straight out there already. Yeah, even even to the $12 bet. Let's say if the bean Jim didn't call, I think it's really we just have to fold because there's so much negative implied odds. Like when a flush comes, do we have the best hand? We don't really know because we have a 5 high flush. It's the same thing with the straight. So yeah, having the second best hand is not a good thing in PLO. So we're just gonna have to fold it. Interesting small bet. Um, yeah, it was like a quarter of the pot, and SPR was like one. So it was kind of telling Bean Jim if he wants to play, he's gonna have to play for his whole stack like right now if he wanted to. So it's interesting that Bean Jim actually folded to the small bet, given that he called on the flop. Because anything that calls the flop should probably call that bet too. Because if he had like a good flush draw, like an ace high flush draw, he was getting cheap enough odds to call with just a naked uh, ace of diamond draw. The king actually probably should improve Bean Jim's range. So it's kind of weird. A set would also want to play there. So yeah, I'm not sure what he had, but yeah, I would probably if I was a Saldar right there, I would probably just jam pot with my range or most of my range, my continue. I mean, yeah, a good chunk of mm, my hands would just bet and get it in. Interesting flop, bottom right. Yeah, I like to continue. We have a gutter and some backdoor flush draws. We pick up another gutter. It's not as good. We check. I don't like the check. I think we should continue putting pressure, even though it's pretty draw heavy. Yeah, bet is better because now we're just gonna have to give up. And now we're in a interesting spot where we block a straight, so we kind of have to bet. And then yeah, villain gets there with a straight. Um, so if we bet the turn, what would have happened? Villain could have called, but if I bet it was going to be close to pot, um, I could see villain folding there with this because of the flush draw, and he has just a double gutter. But yeah, yeah, the way it played out, the river, I think we had to bluff with our nothing hand that blocks the straight. So queen queen seven. I think a c bet's good. We have backdoor flush draw, backdoor straight draw, and we can always hit an eight. Excuse me. We have backdoor straight draws. We have a 10, 9, ace. All those cards make us a straight draw. I three bet with on the bottom. Excuse me, the top right. Mostly because I have position, even though Eagle is a better player. Position's just that much, it's important. On this flop, um, a lot of times I'm going to be c betting, but I went for a control. Like our range, we're going to be betting a lot. So I guess we could. I would bet like half pot or smaller here. Like if I had aces, I think I would bet half pot to see what happens. But yeah, checking back with this hand, I think is good because that way we can make it to the river for sure. Like if we bet and then got check raised here, it would be unfortunate. Um, the turn is good. We have a flush draw with our straight draw, so I would have liked to bet. Yeah, I don't know why. I think I was being a little too cautious here. Now that the flush came, we're gonna value bet. I think what I was thinking was he can have a lot of better draws in his range, so just keep it small and then kind of react to what he does on the river. Yeah, but I think I like a turn bet better than what we just did. Okay, let's try to get a good hand in here and then wrap up this video. Yeah, I think our first video in this series was the most exciting one with our massive suck out with ace ace. Like the yeah, that was amazing. Might be the most epic suck out that I've ever done in my years of playing poker. So if you haven't seen it, go check it out. Okay, we have a pretty good hand. Check 10-9-7, and yeah, I think the other two on the bottom are opens. That's good. That's a nothing kind of a flop, so we want to see bet. Mm, with the jack high flush draw, um, with the stack size, a bet is, yeah. I like checking back and then bluffing on the turn. So a delayed c bet is good. Gives us a little bit more clarity on what the villain has as a hand for a hand too. So yeah, delayed c bet. On the bottom right, excuse me, the bottom left, we have a double gutter. Um, I guess, yeah, a bet is a little, I would say bet is 60%, check is 40% kind of. We don't have any equity. Maybe a little bit more. We want to bet more often than not. Yeah. Um, Nothing too exciting here, huh? I'll wait a couple more minutes, and if not, I'll wrap it up and then stay tuned for next time. Top right, it's a potentially good hand. Ooh, we got trips. Definitely see betting here with trip jacks. I would like to see a bigger c bet, but okay. Uh, we're gonna bet again. We have a flush draw. Sure, villain could have a straight now, but we need to protect our hands against other straights. And even if we get it in, like we just did, it's like, let's say if he had 7-4 or 4 deuce, we have close to 40% equity with our straight, excuse me, our flush draw and uh, full house draw. So, and it looks like this villain just kind of snapped, went spew mode, and we win. Yay. All right. Um, let's cut the video off right there. Thanks for watching, everyone. Hope you enjoyed the content. If you made it this far, give me a thumbs up. You know, like the video, subscribe if you want to see more content.